taster for yesterday. I hope you guys have an amazing. Oh, you got like a little chicken and chocolate.
Did you eat chocolate?
No, I ate maple syrup and maple taffy. A
Mm.
lot, and a lot. It's free, so. So I hope you guys had a great weekend that you spent with your family. So we are there today. We are back with our book, Super Communicator from Charles Duhigg. And today we are starting a new chapter. It's a great topic that we will look, and this topic can actually really radically change and transform the way that you will communicate with people around you. So you can use that at work, you can use that with your family, you can use that in your business, okay? Because we know that most of you guys are in an MLM. So Sylvain, I have a question for you to start. Okay, so imagine that you're walking into a room for an important meeting even before the first word are spoken, simply by looking at people, the posture, the atmosphere, the nonverbal. Okay, you already know if you're going to have to walk on eggshell or in the atmosphere is funny. How do you explain that?
Oh my God, this is a great question. And Jean-Philippe, I would say we can experience it every day in our store because we can, let's say, read the room. Okay, and I feel the same when I walk into a hallway,
Yeah, in our way.
and you can say, oh my God, this is a fun meeting, or this is something that it's gonna be oh my God, it's gonna be tough. And just the way, let's say, the customer enter in the store and they are looking at the shelf, I know that if I'm just going to say hello, or I'm going to interact more with them, or I'm going to present them the fridge smart, and the way they answer, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna say like two things, and then I'm going to let them shop. Okay, and I know that they are not here to shop or to buy. Okay, they just are looking here, or no, they very need to assistance. So I'm gonna call it like my intuition. Okay, it's something that I can read other people, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I think you have like the right word. It's really about like your instinct, the way that we feel the person. In the book, actually, Super Communicator, they call it a different word, and I like it. Like our instinct, the way that we will read the room is called a silent negotiation. So it's kind of an invincible, no, invisible. It's not the same. Invisible dance, okay, that will happen in just like the few first second that you will interact with that person. But most of the problem that I have, I will say it this way because I think I need to work on it, is that we completely ignore those first steps. So we actually rush sometimes too fast into our subject. So yes, as you was talking, because I had a boutique also, like with our products, the technical technique and all of that. So we don't understand why the other person isn't listening or even like reject our argument, even if we like they are super logical and we explain it very well.
Yes, of course. When someone come in the boutique and you have, let's say, your new recruit, she's so excited. Okay, I'm gonna do it, and she start talking about the lifetime warranty and the product and how much they are going to save. So the pitch is perfect, okay, but it's logic, okay. You can calculate, and yes, it's logic, but that was not the answer. That was not the negotiation in silence. The customer had something in his head, and it was not about whole life warranty or other thing. Okay, so this is what we are going to talk today. So how can we decode what they have in their head before the discussion begins?
Yes. So to help us understand like the power of this concept of that silent negotiation, I'm going to share the example that we have in the book. Okay, so it's the story of a doctor. Okay, so I will try to say his name. Befar Edai. Edai, I don't know.
Okay, I think it's good. I'm gonna give
Okay.
you a.
So he is an extremely renowned urologist and surgeon in New York City. Okay. So he's one of the best in his field. So every day he sees men who have just been diagnosed with a prostate cancer. So there is a total panic for most of his patients. So Dr. Edai know that 97% of cases that people who get that diagnosis, okay, this cancer grows so slowly that surgery is not necessary. The best medical option is what he called an active surveillance. So you monitor, but you don't butcher, because what is happening is one of the impact of surgery, okay, is risk of impotence and incontinence for men.
Okay, so let's say you meet that great surgeon is very competent, and he tell you bad news, but it's a good news. So that cancer goes slowly. So he said, we're not going to operate you, so I can continue my life normally. So it's a great news, and people, they probably are experiencing joy and maybe jumping and say, okay, I'm going to listen to my doctor, right?
So this is what we will think, okay?
Yeah.
Explain it this way. But what was crazy is that this doctor, Edai, okay, is pulling out like graph, statistic, clinic studies, and even with those like this rational evidence, he said that nearly 40% of his own patient reject the advice of just monitoring. Okay, they insisted of having a surgery, okay, which means that it can like destroy their quality life. So passion will get angry and say, yes, doctor, but what about that 3%? Okay, so what happened to them? Okay, what if it's going wrong? What is going to happen to them? Or like they getting with some argument saying, my neighbor, okay, died of a cancer 2 months ago. Okay, I want to have that tumor removed right away. So the doctor could no longer communicate anything else because they took their decision.
Okay, that's yeah, okay. And that story, Jean-Philippe, reminds me in the store or in MLM. So let's say at the store, I have a customer and he came into the so he's looking at the fridge mart. So I say, okay, I'm gonna tell him, and I explain that I save, let's say, $15 per week, so it's $60 per month. It's equal 700 or close to $1,000 per year. So math, it's logical, and they say, okay, okay, okay. They are listening at me, but they are looking at me like suspiciously, because they maybe buy something else and it doesn't work, or her friend told her that they try it and doesn't work, and so they project their fear on me, on my product. And it's not just the doctor patient that project their fear of death onto one statistic.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same mechanism actually. So after a while, what he did realize, that doctor, is he have the humility to say to himself, okay, so the problems is not my patient, because a lot of them are reacting the same way. So there is a pattern here. Okay, so they're not idiot. They're looking at something, but what is the real problem? So he has the humility to call a negotiation expert from Harvard University. Okay, so also that guy named Deepak Malhotra. I think it's good, this one. So this professor, okay, that is the negotiator, he observed, okay, the doctor in its consultation, and he actually put his finger on the problem. He said to him, you're making the fatal mistake. You assume that you know what the patient wants. You assume that he is looking for cold and logical medical advice when he is looking for emotional security. You skip the stage of that silent negotiation.
Oh my God. Okay. So we assume what the other person wants. Okay, it's very good and it's powerful, because if we apply this every day in our personal life or in our business life, according to that expert, we are going to have that silent negotiation that we forget all the time. So what is the silent negotiation?
Yeah, so that professor, that negotiator, Professor Malorta, it explained that in any conversation, before talking about the main topic, so it could be what product to buy, a medical treatment, or even getting higher. Okay, the two people, okay, that are there discussing must agree on two things. The first one is, what is the real topic of the conversation? Not the apparent subject, but that hidden need, okay, that is not necessarily speak of with clarity. And the second one is, what will be the rules of the game? What will be the rules of that discussion? Are we going to talk each other as equal, or going to talk as boss and an employee? Okay. So can we express our fear there without being judged? Okay. Or are you there to impose your point of view or to help me decide what it is?
Okay, so it's brilliant. And if we talk about, let's say, recruitment, okay, we are in the MLM, and a big part of our daily life it's recruitment. So let's say I have a new recruit, okay, and I want to apply those rules. So she's told me, okay, I want to make more money, okay, I want to make more income. So my reflex would be, okay, I'm going to explain how we can make money in that business. So maybe I'm going to take 45 minutes to explain the compensation plan, the sales level, and how you can make money by, let's say, doing live sales, having a messenger, doing tupperware party. So I'm going to give her a lot of detail. Okay, I'm going to give her a lot of theory, like the surgeon did. He give statistic.
And I'm curious, Sylvain, because I'm listening to you and I know what has happened to me doing this. What did happen?
Probably they are going to feel dizzy with all those number, and they were not going to listen. Okay, sometimes you want to buy something. Let's say I'm in the process of buying a pool, and she give me a lot of information. I have only one question in my head. It's okay, but how I'm going to have that fence, or I don't know. Say, but she's going to give me so much explanation, but my real question is another one. So probably the recruit is the same. So she is going to be so much information, okay, and the real issue, it's not money, it's probably that okay, she is having insecurity, because she don't know if she's going to succeed in that business. Okay, so yes, she wants to make money, but she have a problem with her self-confidence. Okay, and she don't know how she can accomplish this. So she is more in the emotion, and me, I am irrational with all those number. Okay, or maybe she needs she a stay at home mom, and yes, she need money, but she need hair. She need like a new partnership, or a new environment when she can have other mom and take a break, and thinking about her, not only the kids. So yes, she wants to make money, but the real thing is, am I going to be able to succeed in that business, or I need to have a new environment. So this is like something that we have to see, we have to discover the real hidden subject.
Yeah.
Okay, otherwise we're gonna completely miss the point or the person.
Yeah, and as you can see, like this is happening in like our field in an MLM, but it's exactly the same thing for a doctor with his patient. So those patients of the doctor actually who refuse the active surveillance that should be like the best option, they did not give a damn about like all of those statistics. Okay, but in his mind, okay, the silent negotiation that we're just talking is, does the doctor understand that I'm scared, okay, to death and leaving my wife alone or leaving my kid? Okay, so until the doctor validated this fear, the patient were not ready to hear the logical medical solution.
Yeah. And when I was at school, let's say we have I just remembered that we had like a meeting, and we had, let's say, the government say, okay, we have to cut, and the principals say, okay, now we have to adjust the budget, and we have to cut some money on the budget, and we're gonna do this and this, but we're not listening. Okay, because this is not something that we want to earn. We want to, okay, am I going to lose my job? Okay, is my colleague is going to lose his job? Am I going to lose the service for my people? So of course, this is something that we always we are always um, we don't know if it's going to be that way. So this is something that now we understand the problem, and we knew that we don't want to skip the silent negotiation. So the principal has to understand that, okay, he have to reassure us that we're going to keep our job. We have to reassure the patient that is going to be okay. We have to make sure that we are going to tell that young lady that joined Tupperware that yes, she can able to succeed. So we understand the problems. We understood that we should not skip the negotiation, and we should never assume that the other person wants. But concretely, what do we do? Okay, can you cannot say to your customer who entered the shop, okay, hello, what is your deepest fear today about your cooking? Okay, uh, they are going to say, "Oh my God, this guy is crazy."
Exactly. Okay, so the first question, the question that you will ask is very important. Okay, so you don't want people to run away for you. So this is the example that we're living in a store, but there is not a lot of a place where they explain what are really good open-end question. Okay, and those questions actually should focus more on value and emotion. So rather than telling technical facts and information to people, we should ask questions. Okay, question that invite the other person to reveal who they are and what really matters to them. Okay, so let's get back to the exam of our surgeon, okay, that doctor. So he changed his approach. So now, instead of telling them a lot of statistic and showing them graphic, okay, he no longer like lives with his studies. So he sat down and he asked to his client, okay, what does this diagnosis means to you on a day-to-day basis? Or what are you most worried about right now? Those are the questions that he asked.
Okay, so the answer must be completely different because it's another question.
Exactly. So we've seen it like in a store. If we share them like information. Now what is happening is patients started to open themselves. Okay, so they started to share. It reminds me of my father who dies young. I don't want to make my family go through this suffering. And others said that he was afraid of losing his manhood. So by asking this value question, the doctor was finally able to have the right conversation with each person. And what did happen is it was completely spectacular by applying this method. So by changing his question, by really wants to find that negotiation, that real subject, okay, the rate of patient who choose the unnecessary surgery, okay, dropped out by more than 30%.
Wow, it's phenomenal. You see, When you ask question about value rather than product, that's the shift I'm trying to make at the store right now and with all the team. So when a customer stop by and a product and they see let's say they look at the product, the worst question we can ask is, are you looking for something in particular? And I play guilty. That was my question. Okay. So the answer was, oh, no, not really. I'm just watching. So she just put her on a defensive barrier.
Yeah. So, like, how can we go from that questions, okay, to an open end question? So, how can we change that, Sylvain?
Yes. So maybe we could say, let's say, hello, take your time watching. We have a lot of new product to help you save time. Just out of curiosity, what's giving you the most trouble in your kitchen right now? Lack of space to store or food waste because foods rots too fast? So
Yeah.
that could be a question.
Yeah, so just like that, like it completely changed the energy that is happening like between like both of us. So that approach is much more human. So you don't ask that person to buy, you invite them to tell like about their own reality.
Yes, it's a dance. So of course, it doesn't feel attack the customer. Okay, and probably she would say, "Oh my God, waste! I throw strawberry every week. It breaks my heart with the cost of grocery right now." Okay, so it's the silent negotiation, and it's going to be successful because we agree on the real issue. She wants to stop wasting money on food. From then, I'm no longer trying to sell something. Okay, I am an advisor and I'm going to provide a tailor solution. Okay, for his problem.
I love like so like this example of the store didn't came from the book. Okay, so you see that in two different area. Okay, how those principle like can be okay in very important because it will help us build the relationship. So Sylvain, if we had to like summarize our episode today for the people that will watch us in replay, okay, so what are the three main principles that we want them to remember?
I love it, love it. Okay, so the first one is in any conversation, it's going to begin with a silent negotiation. So before you pitch your ID, your product, or you try to convince your spouse or your kids to make their room, make sure that you agree on the real topic of discussion and how you are going to talk each other. Okay, so if you talk to your kids, are you going to be the mother and the kids? Are you going to talk more equally? Is it a conversation or it's gonna it's like an order? You have to do, you must do this.
Yes. So the second principle is the error of assumptions. So never ever assume. Okay, I think it's one of the four agreements. Never assume, like in that book. Probably it's came from that. Okay, so never ever assume that you know what the other person wants, even if you know the person for years. Okay, so just remember the example of our surgeon. So he screwed up for years about his patient because he think that they wanted pure logic when in fact they wanted to be listened.
Okay, I love it. And the third principle for to put in practice, so ask open-end question that focus on value and emotion. Don't ask for cold fact. Ask, what are you worried about in this? What would be an ideal solution look like for you? Or in the store, okay, what is your biggest challenge in the kitchen right now? And let the other person tell you what really matters to them.
Yes. So those are the three main elements that we want you to remember. But just before, Sylvain, you have a little challenge because this is very like something that we can put in action right away. So what do we have to offer them as a challenge?
Okay, so this week, today, tomorrow, okay, it's simple. In your next conversation, okay, that is a little bit important or a little tense, okay, it's let's say you're gonna ask something to your colleague, your teenager, they don't want to clean the room, okay, or customer, refrain from giving your solution or your opinion immediately. Okay, take a deep breath, pause, and ask an open-end question to try to understand what is really bothering them. Okay, observe what happens. You may be very surprised to see how much fluid the discussion will be.
Yes. So that is a great challenge. So thank you so much, Sylvain, okay, for sharing, okay, that experience in store. I have the same, so I can relate on that. Okay. So we want you to really apply that challenge. Okay. So thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow we will continue, okay, about understanding how that negotiation continue. Okay. Those were really just the first step. So we will see you tomorrow morning and at 8. And on that, have a nice day, everyone. Bye.
Bye for now.